Big news, welcome to a special Zinni 62 live stream on a cold Saturday night, actually Saturday evening, it's not Saturday night yet, in Chicago, where the temperature is 1 degree. And with wind chill, it is 10 degrees. Yes, 10 degrees. But that doesn't stop the news, and especially this report. According to ESPN, Chris Mortensen, the Raiders have targeted Jon Gruden to be the next coach of the Silver and Black, to return as coach of the Silver and Black. That's right. This comes just seconds ago. I was tipped off by a friend, and I immediately got on here and started this live stream. Now, this huge news has to be brought in with a proper tempering. First of all, Jon Gruden has not yet, if he does, accepted the Raiders' offer. But that the Raiders would make it publicly known says a number of things. First of all, it says, hey, you know what? The Jack Del Rio era is done in Oakland. That's what it says. Because I can't see Jack Del Rio even wanting to come back if he knows that the Raiders are already teeing up his successor. I just can't see that. The other part of the report is that they're promising ownership to Coach Gruden, and that would be a nice enticer, because right now Gruden's contract pays him $5 million a year. Comparatively, Jack Del Rio's contract paid him $3.5 million a year. So you would have to have, if you're the Raiders, some other special reason for you to want to give up what is really one of the most cush jobs in the world, to come over to the Raiders, and let alone back to head coaching football with all the stresses that go with it. Plus, they're offering ownership. And regardless of how you look at it, the Raiders' situation is bright. Its future is bright, because somewhere, Oakland or Las Vegas, there will be a new stadium in the future of the Raiders, which means the organization will be that much wealthier. And it means that if, it means that if Gruden accepts that offer, he will come in with a stake in a team he will help make richer, and he will be wealthier. I'm trying to think of the last time a head coach had an ownership stake in an organization. I can think of Magic Johnson when he was coach of the Lakers, but as for the NFL, I can't think of a modern day example. When I think back in the past, of course, Al Davis comes to mind, and then George Halas of the Bears. But in terms of a modern day example, I can't think of anybody, I can't think of anyone. Al Davis came very early on in the 60s as the coach of the Raiders and principal owner. George Halas, undisputed owner of the Bears and coach. But other than those two, I can't. It's extremely rare situation to find oneself in. Now, how do I think Jon Gruden will do? That is the big question, because the reason why I'm so hesitant to say Gruden will definitely lead the Raiders to a Super Bowl championship, let alone a Super Bowl, is I'm not precisely certain they're ready for his voice as it was when he coached before. Now, having said that, let me say this. By working for ESPN and having his draft program and his other programs, his other television programs that have allowed him to stay in touch with a modern college student athlete, I think Jon Gruden has really been able to adjust his personality. Plus, his kids are grown. They've gotten bigger. So he understands what it means to temper himself, but also to change with the times, as I perceive with his growth. And what I'm more interested in seeing is not so much how they will respond to his voice, because he would be less the player's friend than Jack Del Rio has been, but also the degree to which his knowledge of the modern game has improved since the Bill Walsh era. He came in with what some call the West Coast offense, I call the Bill Walsh offense, but he's learned a lot of the new spread techniques since then, and it would be exciting to see what kind of offense he brings in to use today. That would be the most exciting aspect, other than it being Jon Gruden returning to the Raiders, of Jon Gruden's return to the Raiders, if it happens. And as someone said in a comment I'm going to get to in a bit, yeah, sure, the rumor is that I could be dating Scarlett Johansson, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. And no, I didn't say that it was true, okay? Let me emphasize that. I said, according to reports, the Raiders are targeting, and I repeat again, targeting, and I'll say it one more time, targeting, okay? As Kung Lao says, yeah. And Infall says Gruden is on record as being against the Las Vegas move. Yes, he is. And also, Del Rio to the Raiders is what Mark Jackson was to the Warriors. Ivan said that once before. Ivan, how are you? Johnny Jackson, how are you? Says, looks like the Raiders are going to playoffs. So, nope, they're not. Carver says, wish them luck on that pursuit. Laugh out loud. Stan A says, no, it's not going in Vegas with the way things are going. Seems desperate. You know, I was talking with Morris Bradshaw, and he said that they want, being the Raiders, he's an executive assistant with the Raiders, that they want to bring a championship to Oakland now. That's what they want to do. And so having remembered that conversation, now playing it in my head again, my sense is the Raiders don't want to wait for Del Rio to improve in one more year. That's it. So that's it. So regardless of what happens in their pursuit of Gruden, if this is true, then, hey, look, Del Rio's 3 years and done. And that's the other story. Just Del Rio is 3 years and done. Stan says, never knew a head coach that got an offer of ownership stake. Not in the modern era, Stan. Me neither. Now, again, in the NFL, NBA with Magic Johnson, there. Christian Navarro says Gruden and Pagano. I don't know about. I don't think John. I know for a fact that Jon Gruden would not keep Pagano. He would start all over with his own staff. He's got a lot of connections out there. He knows a lot of talented people. He may bring in somebody like, well, I think whoever he'll bring in. Okay, I'll say this. It'll be less a personality and more someone that's familiar with how to stop the modern game. I don't think he's going to go off and just get his friends. And in watching, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Pagano or Norton Jr., whoever's on the staff. They're not the people that I would think of in terms of having that scheme that can stop the modern game. But that's another conversation. That is another conversation. Nympho says, you can dig up Vince Lombardi. It doesn't matter. They're a long way from a championship. That's a good one. I like that one. Exhume Lombardi. Bring him back. Hey, that could happen. You never know. I'm just kidding. But with all these ideas and all this rumors of testing of, Frankenstein projects, you never know. But Chucky would come back. What do you think about that, Justin Burlich? All right, I want to do a poll right now with all of you that are on. Yes, if you want Jon Gruden back. No, if you think it's a bad idea. Ed Reed, yes or no? Jon Gruden, yes. Jon Gruden, no. I say Jon Gruden, yes. I'm gonna give the idea a chance. Ivan says yes. We have 2 yeses, including mine. And Kung Lao says yes. Christian Navarro says Gruden, yes. Marcellus Thomas, hey, how you doing? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Marcellus Thomas, Gruden, yes or no? Justin Bletch says yes. Marcellus, what do you say? Yes or no? Marcellus says yes. The 100, how you doing? He says yes. Who else? So far we have unanimous. Crawford says, sounds like the Vegas plans are not what they think to offer him an ownership stake. Crawford, yes. Infall says yes. If they stay, if they leave, don't care. I understand. And I concur. Stan says, I think it's a bad, good for the culture, though, but having coached in over 10 years, yeah. Jen Doe says, do you think we should get him? I do. JP says, yes. Winston Burke says, get Gruden in there now. I think it's the perfect match of fan desire, competence, and future potential success in Jon Gruden. Sometimes fans want a coach and you think, gee, is that really the best person for the job? But in this case, Jon Gruden is coming back. He's Raider history. And it would be a story of Gruden coming back to finish a job left incomplete. Bringing a Super Bowl to Oakland. Okay. So, Ritzenberg says, get Gruden in there now. Kyle Mucha says, yes, of course. He's got a Super Bowl pedigree. What has Del Rio ever done? Ed Reese says, yes. D. Nas, hi, Dean. What do you think? Gruden, yes or no? And JP says, who would be the OC under Gruden? Don't know. In Falls, if you're at Oakland and New Orleans, we're all starting off at room 389. Oh, you're at, okay. I'm in Chicago. Johnny says, guess why the Raiders lost the game? Marshall Lynch, Gruden got knowledge, says Kung Lao. Nick Z says, the rumors are true. Joshua Agee says, yes. Bruce Sierra says, this goes on every year and never happens. But this time, it seems like it has a little weight behind it in terms of a report. Excel Generation says, I like Gruden, but I doubt he will come back. Let me find the report myself, because I just got a tip. And I immediately fired up the system here to get this out. And Marcella says, do you really believe Zenny? I believe that there's an offer out there, all right? And it says, sources, Raiders preparing to go after Gruden. That's what this title says. It says, Raiders' pursuit of Jon Gruden could include ownership stake, and this came out as of 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's now 8:52. So, hey, Infalls, have fun. Have fun at room 389, by the way. And, yeah, hey, I wish I could join you if I were there. That'll be a ton of fun. Just blocks from my house. And this is how it reads. This is by Adam Schefter and Chris Mortensen. Two people I know. Actually, Adam I know well. Oakland is preparing to pursue ESPN analyst Jon Gruden with an offer so strong it could even include an ownership stake in the Raiders, according to league sources. Gruden will be tempted to accept it, according to sources, but would prefer not to make any decisions until after the regular season finishes Sunday and the Raiders make a final determination on the current head coach, Jack Del Rio, who signed a contract extension last summer. But Oakland has long appealed to Gruden for a variety of reasons. He would return to an organization he didn't want to leave in 2001. He would inherit a young quarterback in Derek Carr, whom he feels strongly about. And he would get to coach a team that is slated to move in 2002 to Las Vegas, where he would not have to pay a state tax as he does now in Florida, where he currently lives. Gruden's contract even could be backloaded to pay him more in the Nevada years and lessen his tax burden than the Oakland ones. If that happens. Raider owner Mark Davis has offered Gruden an ownership stake in the past, according to sources, and he has. And if he were willing to do so again, note this, if he were willing to do so again, what that means is, all right, what that means is that the Raiders haven't even done it. This is all rumor, okay? So take it for what it's worth. It's all rumor. But still, Adam and Chris felt strongly enough with respect to the sources they talked to move forward in this way. And anyway, this goes on. I'm going to repeat what I just read because I didn't finish the paragraph. Raider owner Mark Davis has offered Gruden an ownership stake in the past, as many of you know, you and I. And they saying this time if he were to accept the offer, the contract would have to be approved by all 32 NFL owners. Wow. So that would, I wonder how they would square that circle, because the NFL generally meets like later in January. So that's when they would have to approve that. So they would have to do this fairly quickly. They would have to wait for the regular season to end. Then they would have to wait until late January to actually approve the contract. And then once the contract is approved, then they can sign him. So they're looking at probably after the Super Bowl, if all this falls into place the way it looks like it could, okay? So, and they say, the NFL wouldn't have a problem with Gruden. Now, this article goes on, it says, even if it didn't, for some reason, even if the NFL Finance Committee didn't approve him for some reason, Gruden's contract could be negotiated in a way that would pay him a commensurate amount if fellow owners of the Finance Committee decided not to. And it says that last paragraph I read to you was not correctly written by ESPN, but I digress. It says, but these are not expected to be issues that would impede the deal. There are, however, other complications. Jack Del Rio's agent, Bob Lamont, has been John Gruden's agent for a long time. And so apparently this is a sensitive situation. And it says Gruden has been an unpredictable source before, and when some thought he was going to make the jump to the NFL, he changed his mind. But this time, they say Gruden would be given enough power in Oakland to be able to reshape the front office, coaching staff, and the whole dang organization. I mean, everyone, okay? And there are still people there from when he coached. And he didn't make any comment. Apparently, he said, I don't want to sit here and speculate. There's no news to report. I can't say I haven't taken any phone calls. He's talked to Mark Davis, translation. I take a lot every year from coaches, some others, yeah, sometimes owners. Guys want to bounce ideas off me. I'm here to help people. Another source close to the situation said Mark Davis always held Gruden in high regard. From the time he coached Oakland from 1998 to 2001 until long after the time that Davis' father Al traded Gruden to Tampa. Gruden was in the booth for his final Monday Night Football game of the season last week in Philadelphia when the Eagles hosted the Oakland Raiders at the Link. And the source says the owner has an affinity for Mark Davis. Mark Davis has an affinity for Jon Gruden, excuse me. And it continues. And it says that Gruden still has an affinity for coaching. And it said many around the league believed it was only a matter of time before he returned to coaching. Gruden has recently been calling assistants around the league trying to piece together a staff, which is why I'm saying don't rest your idea that Pagano is going to be retained. Although he's made calls in other years and have never acted upon any of the opportunities that have come his way. And then they give an example of the Indianapolis Colts. Just last year, the Indianapolis Colts met with him, and the Raiders have made other attempts in other years at bringing back Gruden, who's still loved in the Bay Area and Oakland. I added the Oakland part. Pegging landing spots for Gruden from year to year has become a sport within a sport, but multiple people believe it's different this time. One source close to the situation says he expected Gruden to return the coaching in 2018. Others predicted Gruden would wind up with the Raiders. But Gruden continues to insist it's nothing more than talk, as there has been talk in other years about his possible return that didn't come to pass. But this year does seem to be different. This year, there are many sources who believe the Raiders are preparing to make another offer so enticing it would be difficult for Gruden to turn down. And now I will add this. I believe, okay, and I said this the last time we talked about it, that I expected Jon Gruden to take over the Buccaneers and not the Raiders because he lives in Tampa. Okay, so, and the Buccaneers could offer him the same package the Raiders were offering. So I'm saying that I believe there's a bidding war going on. Just letting you know that. D-Ness says, hey, Zinni, my computer is a mess. I'll watch you later. Oh, got it. Johnny Jackson says they should get Colin Kaepernick as starting quarterback. Christian Navarro says, the NFL hates the Raiders. Ownership was jealous. They didn't want the Raiders in Los Angeles. Imagine sold-out seats every weekend in the largest city in California. Yeesh. Prefer that than Vegas. Rest in peace. Tailgates. Stay in Oakland. Ed Reed says, I think he will put a bug in Davis' ear to stay. He doesn't like the attempted move to Vegas. True. And, hey, Steve. Macy, how are you? Stan A says, love Gruden, but he said he would draft Johnny Manziel, either the first-round pick. Well, that's gone. Johnny's with the CFL. That's ancient news. Something else, too. Yours truly would have drafted Johnny Manziel and brought the air raid offense with from A&M to have Manziel play in it. I believe in Johnny Manziel's talent as a quarterback, and I hold to this day that he was with teams that did not want to install the system that he ran at Texas A&M, and that was a gigantic mistake. Huge, all right? So, Excel Generation says, Las Vegas needs to go away. Gruden would be great, though. Del Rio's all right, but this year was disastrous. We're not done yet. Stan A says, wouldn't that be a mistake for the Raiders if it doesn't work out and they give him ownership stake? You know, I don't know how that would work. If they had to fire him, would he have to give up his ownership stake? I need to check that out. I think it would work something along the lines of an employee stock option ownership plan, and I need to research ESOPs with respect to termination to see how that works, okay? And Marcella says, I still don't think it's real. Well, right now it's not. It's all rumor. You know, they dressed it up as this thing. No, I'm going to give ESPN credit. They said, hey, you know what? All right. Now, and then the way I worded it was Jon Gruden, Oakland Raiders head coach target, according to reports. All right. So everything about this is kind of, well, let's hold on. We're not quite sure, right? We're not exactly sure this is going to happen. All right. But it could happen. Christian says that everyone wants to play for Gruden if in Vegas, especially the benefit of not getting taxed every paycheck. Vegas will be the landing target in free agency. Crawford says there should be a condition that Davis should re-explore options in Oakland in order for Gruden to accept the job. Yeah, you know what? Given the advantages of being able to afford a great accountant, I personally discount the advantage of being in Vegas from a tax standpoint more than others do. Because, look, if you have a good accountant, you can have that accountant make your income look any kind of way it wants to save you money, including offshore accounts and everything else. So when you get into that bracket, you can make it look like you don't owe taxes to a degree, regardless of where you live. So I'm not one who places a lot of love in the whole living in Vegas for a non-tax reason, okay? That's just me. But it's for a good reason. Joshua says it has actual legs this time. And we'll see. I mean, you know what? The last time we heard about this idea, it had legs then too, right? Stephen Marcus says, do you think McKenzie would be let go to make room for Gruden? Gruden might want full control. Yeah, I do think that Reggie would be let go. And, you know, I have to say, I think it's a good thing. And, I like Reggie as a person and everything. But I really believe that Reggie has to, and I think where Reggie can do better as a GM is to be coldly, numerically, analytically professional and adopt the rule that I'm going to get along with my head coach, whoever that is, and not say I'm going to get rid of you because I don't get along with you or may I not like you a certain way. That drives me crazy, okay? You should not run an organization that way at all. I wonder if Gruden would be able to bring back Amy Trask. I wonder how Mark would feel about that. Mark Davis. Just throwing that out there. A little red meat for the conversation. Marcella says, I think the two could work together well. And talking about Amy. And Steve Marcus says, I agree, Amy rocks. Steve Marcus says, do you think McKenzie... Yeah, I answered that question. Crawford says, Gruden loved the Bay Area and especially Oakland. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, you know, as far as the move, the attempted relocation to Vegas, you know, it's just painful to watch. It really is just painful to watch. And the Raiders need $1 billion to make it work. The way the UNLV Joint Use Agreement is written, if the regents are not smart, they are going to write something that's going to make them look stupid once people start actually reading the fine print, right? So, no. There are so many problems with that plan, it's not funny. Marcellus Thomas says, McKenzie and Gruden work well together. Brucer says, what about Jim Harbaugh? Well, what about him? He's not part of the story. And I'm also not sold on the idea that Jim Harbaugh is the next great coach just because he has a personality the media latch on to, and therefore have him in the collective mind of the mainstream media to float his name out there for a future coaching vacancy. He did not do as well as I thought he was going to do at Michigan. He could have done a lot better. And I don't believe the speed game is really quite caught up with him. I mean, I don't think he's caught up to the art of designing a speed game a la Urban Meyer, his competitor at Ohio State, okay? He can do it. Heck, I can do it. But I'm not sold on, I've never been sold on, well, that's not true. I was sold on Harbaugh as coach of the 49ers, and I wrote, when I had my column on the website of the San Francisco Chronicle, SF Gate, that Harbaugh, I could see Harbaugh hosting multiple Lombardi trophies over his shoulder, and I was almost right. He got them to the Super Bowl. He didn't win, but he got the Niners there. So, Crawford says Harbaugh is a Michigan lifer. Marcellus says draft Denzel Ward at 11, Reggie. And Crawford says, I would bring in Amy to help Badane learn the business. Actually, Crawford, Mark Badane's been around the business, the Oakland Raiders head coach, for a long time. He has been with the Raiders since 1984, I believe. Fair to say, no, excuse me, 1994, not 84. I believe he was with the Raiders since 1994. So 94, 2004, 2014, he's got 24 years with the Raiders, maybe 25. He's been around a while, and just with that one organization. That's it. He started as a ball boy, so he goes way back. He went from being a ball boy to president of the organization. And so Marcellus says, what to do, Jack? Ain't going nowhere. We can wish, but Gruden ain't coming off of the booth, you guys. Let's stop dreaming. Well, here's the thing. Even if it's not Del Rio, this sends a signal, loud and clear, that the Raiders are poised to make a change at head coach of some time, of some kind, excuse me. And I think we'll find out a lot more on, if not New Year's Day, then the day after. We call it Black Tuesday. So Steely Blue says Gruden would take the team to the next level and bring in some top assistants with him. Blues Lynn says, don't fire Jack Del Rio. Marcellus Thomas says, let's talk about what to do with Jack still here. Mark can't afford to change, I wish. You know, I'm of the mind that, and I've said this before, Jack needs to sit down and establish a vision for the Raiders, then look at the current squad and coaches and say to himself, is what I'm doing a fit with my vision for the organization on the football field? And then he needs, you know, and if it's not, okay, then he needs to make the changes that brings it in line with that vision. But I dare say that this Raider organization, including its performance, fits his vision. And when I say vision, I mean speed, team, you know, power running, fast wide receivers. Do you have that? If not, why not? If you don't, how can you get it? You know, what is it that he wants versus what he's getting? It's not enough to say, I just want a team that wins. If he's not establishing a vision for the Raiders then I think he himself needs to ask, hey, am I the right guy for the job? Every successful head coach has had a vision for the structure of their organization. That's the fact. So, you know, Jack cannot skirt the norm, okay? Stephen Marcus says, I think this is the last time the Raiders are attempting Gruden, and this is probably the best time versus previous attempts. I feel Gruden knows this is his last chance. It might actually bite. Forrest Taher says, is Del Rio the answer? No. It's time to find a new head coach now. The Raiders shouldn't wait another year. The next Sean McVay is out there. The Raiders need to find him. I agree. And we've got a lot of comments here. All right, so I agree. So 20 of you watching, I appreciate it. This is a short live stream. I've got you guys' comments, but I wanted to get that news out there for discussion. And I'm also planning a live stream. I'm going to have as my guest AP Stedham on Tuesday night, who's covering the Alabama-Clemson game Monday. So we'll have a lot to talk about. He covers Alabama football. He's been on my program before. You may have heard him. Monday, I'm going to do a special Black Monday short New Year's Day live stream. Short, okay? It'll be a little earlier than usual. Be a short New Year's Day live stream. Black Monday special, all right? So, what do I think about Matt Nagy as head coach? It doesn't spark me as an idea that I want to rubber stamp as something to do. Jimmy T says, best coaching replacement I could ask for. The best coaching replacement I could ask for is Kevin Sumlin. I believe Kevin Sumlin is ready to bring the air raid offense to the NFL and coach a quarterback like Derek Carr to greatness. Kevin Sumlin, I think, is ready. So there you go. All right, folks. It is 1 degree here. You hear what I'm saying? It is 1 degree. 1 degree. With the wind chill factor, it's -10. It's cold. Cold out here. Tyler says it's 74 in Palm Springs. 74 in Palm Springs. What? 74, man. Oh, forget that. 74 degrees. It's bikini weather, man. Oh. Especially now, you go from, what, 1 degree to 74 degrees? Hilarious. Man, oh, man. All right, guys, gals, everybody. Happy New Year. You realize this is New Year's Eve. All right? New Year's Eve. Lorenzo Guzman says, that dude still has the 32-inch 1992 TV and speakers behind him. This isn't my room. Jimmy T says, I can't wait to catch Chucky back in the Bay. Marcellus says, can't do it. Carver says, happy dilly dilly. To which I say, dilly dilly to you. All right, everybody. Good night. See you later. All right, take care. See you. If you come to Chicago, bundle up. Lorenzo says, bring back Chucky. We shall see. Thank you all for stopping by. I'll see you.